What's up, everybody? Izzy again, back with today's Q&A. Um, let's get into it.
Two groups of people. One, recently paraplegics, and two, lottery winners. When they track these people for long-term indicators of subjective happiness, you see these huge spikes based on the circumstances that just happened, right? Lottery winning, being paraplegic. But what happens after a few years in both cases is that they return to normal. Now, the lottery winners are also usually broke after a few years, but that's a different story. There's a third group that I want to talk about, and that is Buddhist monks. Buddhist monks have the part of their brain that's responsible for emotional regulation is up to 3 to 4 times larger than the normal individual. And why is that? That's because every single day they engage in meditation practices which help them go into a state of peace, equanimity, joy, etc. So, point being, the circumstances in your life will cause acute changes to your baseline level of happiness, but the mood that you experience on a day-to-day basis throughout your life is what you practice. So if you want to be more happier, if you want to be more motivated, you have to go there regularly, as often as possible, as a practice.
All right, this is awkward. How would you rate the iPhone 14 Pro? Well, first of all, I have the iPhone 11, so I can't rate it at all. Second of all, this is a 1 minute long video of my calf raise set, and I have nothing left to talk about. So, I guess I'll give a little bit of information on my calf training philosophy. Calves, I like to bias the lengthened position as much as possible. I'm doing a 5 count in my head, so not 5 seconds, but a 5 count in the stretch on every single rep. I'm doing a short pause at the top to help eliminate momentum. And as soon as the set is over, I launch into basically a DC style extreme stretch. So dog crap training, if you don't know what that is, just Google it. And I basically hold this weight for time after I've already exhausted my concentric and eccentric strength. And that's gotten my calves up to 18.5 from 14 inches.
What I find is that really often naturals seem to want there to be these huge differences between the way that enhanced people should train and naturals should train. I don't know why, but there isn't. There just isn't. It's the same. It's the same physiology. The only thing is that when you're enhanced, everything works better and goes faster. So in the context of the 1% rule, it's an auto-regulated progression method anyway. You add your 1%, but you're doing as many reps as possible. So enhanced people will add more reps more often than natural people. And that's just about it. I mean, they'll be able to keep movements in for longer without switching them out. They'll be able to do, it's the exact same thing, just everything works better. Everything works better when you're enhanced. It's like, imagine like making your genetics 10 times better than they currently are. It's basically that. It doesn't make you a different kind of human being, though. You don't suddenly become a gorilla. You're still a human. It just works better. Dude, I already have an 85-pound Labrador and a 70-pound Labrador. You think I need more pets? If I did get one, it would be a cat. For sure. I'm sure you thought this answer would be a lot more interesting, but dog and cat.
Conventional deadlift, hips closer to the barbell for moment arm being shorter, or hips further away for better counterweight. That's not how the physics work. As I, went over at nauseating, excruciating length on the powerlifting twin mechanics series on deadlifts, the moment arm is what matters here. And the reason that you can really quickly figure that out is, do you know anybody that stiff leg deadlifts more than they conventional? Because that's a longer moment arm at the hips with more of your weight behind the bar. Nobody stiff legs more than they conventional. So yeah, easy answer there. When deciding macros for bulk or a cut, do you go based on your goal body weight or your current body weight? Your needs are based on your current body weight, not your goal body weight. So what you do is you just adjust your macros on a week-to-week basis based on what's happening with your body weight. And if your body weight changes significantly, maybe you can lower your protein respectively. But no, you don't ever base it on your goal weight. Personally, I don't even count macros anymore. I have a meal plan. I eat the same thing every single day. When I need to lose weight, I pull out cups of white rice. When I need to gain weight, I add more cups of white rice. It's a very simple life. Best exercises for obliques, in your opinion? I don't train them, and I don't recommend training them for physique purposes because they make your waist look wider. Really disappointing sight here on squats today, but there was a good reason for it that I ended up finding out later. So the safety squat bar was being used by somebody else. So I just took a chance on my elbow being pissed off at me and used a straight bar instead. And I was only able to get 5 reps with 495 or 225 kilos. And normally I am much, much stronger on a straight bar than a safety bar. So this was, like I said, pretty disappointing. And I wasn't sure if I was just under recovered or if it was because I hadn't been training on a straight bar. But like I said, normally it wouldn't even matter that I hadn't been using a straight bar. I can always do more weight on a straight bar than a safety bar. So I would go on to find out later in this workout that there was a contributing factor here, and I'll get into that in the future questions. Are good mornings more or less fatiguing to the lower back than RDL? Because it's more shear but less axial load. I find good mornings are way easier to recover from than RDLs. Maybe not specifically to the actual lower back muscles, but RDLs create much more axial fatigue, much more systemic fatigue, and they're harder to recover from. Absolutely no doubt. No doubt whatsoever. Is it illogical for an average trainee to work out 3 days a week, even if he can do more? It's not about how many days you can train. Anybody can make a 7 days per week schedule work. It's about doing what's best. Okay? And 7 days a week is not best. What split is ideal for a female beginner only training 2 times a week on consecutive days? I mean, nothing about that's really ideal, but I would probably do push plus quads and then pull, so back and biceps, plus some sort of deadlifts for hamstring and glutes. So what I ended up finding out today is that I injured my left adductor again. It's been hurt many times, and I never felt anything, didn't feel any pain. I just went to go on the adductor machine and used the weight last week, or not even last week, but a couple days ago that I got for 9 reps, and I was able to get 0 reps without like searing pain in my adductor. Then leg extension, I was able to beat what I did last time, so that told me it's not my quads, it's just this adductor injury. That's why I had such a bad day with squatting and pressing. A lot of new powerlifters flat out don't understand periodization. So if you want to get somebody to improve their bench press really rapidly in the short term, yes, having them bench 3 or 4 times a week with ultra high specificity, doing competition only variants or very close variations of the competition lift is going to produce the fastest possible changes in the short term, because it's going to improve their technique and improve neural efficiency and neural adaptations as fast as possible. However, that's only going to peak as high as their muscular base will allow for. So in the long run, if you want the lifter to keep getting better and better, there has to be huge portions of the year where they focus on building muscle. Building muscle is not efficiently done by doing the competition variation bench press 3 times a week, usually because most lighter, newer powerlifters use a candy cane arch and limited range of motion. So having periods of the year where they do longer range of motion, less overall benching is a good idea. Both things are true, just at different periods. Will there be any major issues with going above 0.3 grams per pound of body weight for fats? Not really, especially if you're natural. In my experience, higher carbohydrate intakes lead to better body composition results in the long run. As carbs fuel performance. And when you eat fat, it's stored as fat 100% of the time when you're in a surplus. So carbs have many other things that can happen to them metabolically. But again, yeah, this is primarily a concern for people using insulin and growth hormone. For them, definitely keep your fats lower. How can you lower elevated iron levels? This one's really simple. You have to donate blood. It's really the only solution there. When squatting, do you go to 0 RIR or stop at form breakdown? So unless you're a beginner, this should be the same thing. I mean, you shouldn't be like an intermediate or advanced lifter who's still having like crazy form breakdown for your last several reps of a set. If so, I don't really think you're a candidate for failure training. But I would definitely use a technical stop rather than going to true failure. Here's the thing. By the time that your hips pull backwards, your quads are maxed out anyway. So if that's happening and you're training squats for quads, stop the set. Left side is weaker by roughly 20%. Keeping the weight and reps waiting to even out or more work. I don't really know what this means. I'm assuming what we have to understand is that if you're taking one side to failure and then you're matching, let's say, the weak side with your strong side. For your strong side, that's going to be easier, possibly not even a challenge. So you are doing more work on the left side because you're getting more mechanical tension, and more mechanical tension is what causes hypertrophy, not more sets and reps. Is the slower concentric on leg press, Smith machine, other leg machines due to friction itself hypertrophic, or is it the opposite? I think this is largely irrelevant. I mean, there could be some sort of positive or negative effect with hypertrophy, but time and time again, studies that compare machines to free weights find no statistically significant difference in the hypertrophy outcomes. So ultimately, it doesn't really matter. It tends to even out in the end through some other mechanism. So I wouldn't even worry about friction on machines. Opinion on Smith machine front squats as a hack squat alternative. Well, first of all, I don't think front squats are more quad than back squats. Front squats actually bring the bar to the front of the body, which shortens the moment arm between the load and the knee. And what it really does is it just makes it so that if your hips shoot back, you dump the bar forward. So it almost acts as like a form enforcer. But stuff like hack squats work a lot better because instead of forcing you to dump the bar unsafely when your quads, when you don't do the right thing with your hips, there's literally a back pad that prevents your hips from traveling backwards in the first place. I don't think anything is comparable to a hack squat except for a pendulum squat. That's not to say that Smith machine squats aren't good. Smith machine squats are great. It's just not a replacement for a hack squat. In my opinion, hack squat and pendulum are the two best squat machines that you can get. What do you use to track sleep? Any recommendations? I personally use the Oura Ring, but I mean, I've used the Fitbit and something else before as well, and they're all kind of shit in terms of like determining your actual sleep quality in my experience. Like it's just flat out wrong. So I would just get whatever is affordable for you and use it for the total sleep data more so than the sleep quality data. All right, everybody, that is it for today. I'm really hoping that I can kick this cold soon. I have some other non-Q&A content that I would like to make, but I'm hoping to not be sick first so that I'm not like coughing and spewing through the whole thing. Anyways, if you like the video, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, share, ask any questions in the comments. Have a good day. Bye-bye.